Hi guys, my name is Jess. If you're here from Letterboxd or Reddit, hey, face reveal. I am quite known on both sites because of my favorite movie and how many times I've seen it. So if you're wondering what that movie is, well, it just so happens to be 127 Hours. I've watched it since 2011 and I'm pretty sure I've watched it like 1,000 times. I mean, I don't have a complete estimate on that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. So a couple days ago, or a few days ago actually, someone commented on Reddit and said that they would pay a few dollars if I did some kind of commentary track. And I've actually been thinking about making a reaction video for the last few weeks as of time of this filming, but I decided to go through with it because it turns out quite a few of my followers on Letterboxd and people on Reddit want to see me do this. So yeah, I'm here and I'm about to watch the movie for the 34th time this year. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a copy of the movie to put in this video, so this will be a watch-along type thing, so you would have to find your own copy of the movie to join in with me. But yeah, I'm just gonna be talking about this movie a whole lot throughout it and just talk my brains out about it, I guess, since it is my favorite thing. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, like I said, this is the 34th time I'm watching it this year. Yeah, let's just get through these opening credits, and yeah, I mean I've got plenty to say, so this will be by no means a silent track, so okay, so the credits just started. So, like I mentioned, I started watching this in 2011 and I just fell in love with it right away. I can't remember all that I thought about it the first time, but I just remember it really blew me away and I just knew that I had to watch it again, so the rest is history, as you know. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the editing in this movie, but in my opinion, the split screen thing, it's pretty unique. I mean, obviously not a lot of movies today do that, so it's a good way for it to stand out. So, in case of you don't know, this movie was based off a book, and I've read that book several times, and whenever I watch this movie, it just makes me happy that it's such a faithful adaptation to it. If you haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend you do. It's called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. Dripping water, that's a bad sign. Now, I can't relate to ever doing anything like this where I would travel out of my way to get to a national park and at least spend a good day there, like be there the night before, so one day though. Gotta get that product placement in. with me watching this movie so many times, I don't think you would get any genuine reactions out of me out of anything that's happening, because of course I know everything that's going to happen. One person on Reddit said that they would like to know behind the scenes, what's it called? I'm blanking out. Behind the scenes facts. That's what it is. So I'll make sure to mention a few throughout the movie. Okay, I guess this will be the first one. The camera that is used in this movie, it's the actual camera that Aaron used while he was trapped. So I think that was a really cool thing that they incorporated into the movie. Pretty much feel the same way. At night, I just love to blast my music on my headphones. I feel like with an opening credit sequence like this, you can definitely tell that it was made by a director like Danny Boyle, just because it's got so much energy into it already, and you'll see that throughout the rest of the movie too. So I think he was the perfect director to make this movie. I also really love the cinematography, like these shots right here of all the landscapes. It just looks so pretty. Like, I want to be there so bad. I don't know if I would go mountain biking though. That's not really my thing. Also, I know this angle's a little bit off. I haven't made a video in a really, really long time, so I'm just embracing the imperfections here. I also really love those inside water shots. Like, I always wonder how they manage to get those kind of shots, so I just think they're really cool. Wipeout. I love that he does this. And of course I know the soundtrack by heart too, so I know this song pretty well. You know, I just watched this last night, so this is the second day in a row I'm watching this, but honestly, it's not out of the norm for me, so I'm honestly pretty happy. Climbing up on those big rocks like that must be so cool to do one day for me. And just those views that pan out, they're just so good. There goes Ember Tamplin and Cape Mara. Or Mara, however you say it. imagine being out on your own and not thinking you would come across any other people where you're at since it's so remote. But, you know, it happens sometimes. That's probably one of my top favorite quotes from the movie. Now, if you were in their position, what would you do? Would you accept him trying to help you out, or would you just try to figure it out on your own? That's another detail I really like about this movie that is throughout the whole thing, about those airplanes passing by chemtrails. I just thought that's a nice touch. Yeah, that's a pretty tight squeeze. I don't know if I could ever do something like that. Now, fun fact about this whole pool area thing, that does exist, but you can like access it yourself in Utah. And the first time I went to Utah, which was like 10 years ago, I think, maybe, I don't know, but I was really thinking about considering going to this pool because I really wanted to check it out, but I decided not to, and I've been regretting it ever since. But like I said, one day. Does look kind of fun just swimming though. I love how clear and blue the water is. It's just so pretty. Now, I do want to say this did not actually happen in actuality. yes, Aaron did meet the girls, but they just went out like dry climbing and stuff. They never actually went out swimming. But the reason why in the movie they go in the pool is because like Danny Boyle, he said that he really wanted to like saturate the beginning of the movie with water since it's so accessible for everybody. And you see later in the movie how like Aaron is like without water and he constantly dreams about getting water and stuff, so it really helps set the tone of the movie. This did actually happen too. He was invited to a party. Must be so nice to be on your own like that. For these scenes, they were actually filmed in the actual location, but yeah, like when we get to the part where he becomes trapped, that was just a set. They made a replica set of the canyon because if they actually filmed it there, it would have been unfilmable. Like I remember reading somewhere that if they filmed the entire movie in the actual canyon, it probably would have taken like 6 months to do it. I mean, obviously you'll see more of it when it comes up. The big scene. He's in trouble. Title card. Now I've said this many times before in my Letterboxd reviews and stuff, but I can never get tired of James's performance in this movie just because I feel like he was so natural and all the feelings that Aaron must have gone through, he went through those same things himself because instead of acting out the things that he did, he actually went through those things himself, like more of the activities that are shown later. I mean, I'll obviously point them out, but yeah, I think it's a really good performance, and I sometimes wish he won the Oscar for it, but we can't all be winners. For this scene, it was, I think, like a 18-minute long take, like one single take of him trying to move the rock, even though he obviously knew that it couldn't happen. But yeah, like you see all his exhaustion, the effort he put into it, and it just turned out really good. Honestly, with the set, it's like you can't even tell that it's a set. It just looks like the real thing. No, he's trying to drink all his water. No. And this did actually happen too. Love this shot right here, how it pans out. Really shows you how much trouble he's actually in and how unlikely it would have been if anyone would have found him there. Another thing is that with the scene with him going up through all the stuff that he had, they obviously made sure that they had like not the same but similar items. So like all the ropes, the camera, like I mentioned, like all that stuff. That's pretty accurate too. Obviously, also what he wore in the water bottle. It's the famous multi-tool that will play a crucial part later in the movie. Hope you guys are liking this so far. I know I haven't been doing as much talking as I thought I would, but I just hope that, you're still enjoying it either way. I just get really into this movie, so whether or not I'm in a good mood, I'm obviously am right now. I'm watching this, but sometimes I could just talk about it nonstop, and other times I can only just talk about a little bit, but yeah, I guess we'll see how the rest of it goes. And he dropped it. So, another fun fact, so this happened too, but in actuality, he dropped his car keys, which obviously isn't as important as the multi-tool, but the way that he picks up the multi-tool in the movie, that's how he did for his car keys. So I'm kind of it's interesting to see how he did these things, even though it's not, entirely accurate. Ant. So I guess to drown out some of the silence here, yeah, so like I've mentioned, and obviously as some of you may know, I really love this movie a lot. Like, I honestly love it more than anything else. And I'm surprised that my fixation for it has lasted this long. Like, almost 14 years. Like, I remember when this was first starting out, I thought it might have taken, like, a few years or so, but definitely not 13, let me tell you. And I have a lot of different items like DVDs, Blu-rays. I have the script. I obviously have the book. I have a couple of autographs. Just like cool stuff like that. So I'm always on the lookout for new items that I don't have or are rare. But I recently got the French Blu-ray because it had special features that wasn't on the American Blu-ray. So I got that like a month ago. No, I got that earlier this month. Sunday. And I like these kind of shots too, like how his mind is just tortured by the lack of water that he has. And I mean, obviously there's no other thing he would rather do than to just drink it all in one go, but obviously he can't do that. Okay, sorry, the video stopped, so I'm going again. But we're at the right place. Now, this is one of my favorite scenes. Like, I never really know why I like it so much, but I just think I guess it's just interesting for me to see, like, how he actually tries to get this rope onto this rock and how it doesn't always work out. I mean, obviously, he can't just do it all in one. Like, it doesn't work out that way. So, I don't know, like, I just kind of like seeing the effort of him trying to get this done and then eventually succeeding at it. I'm not an engineer, so I'm not exactly sure how all this stuff works, but I mean, obviously he knew what he was doing. Just trying to do what you can to get comfortable. I mean, otherwise you would be stuck in a standing position the other time. I mean, otherwise. And yeah, obviously with this being his situation, he wasn't really actually able to fall asleep. Like, at the most, he would have micro sleeps. But yeah, I mean, obviously with the position he's in and all that, I don't, there isn't like a way that it could be done, you know? He made it through his first night. I'll never get over how they were able to make this look so natural, even though it's just like artificial lighting. Like, imagine if this movie never went for realism. I'm sure it wouldn't be as good that way, obviously. Really like these close-up shots of, you know, his eyes and stuff. Treat Williams, rest in peace. Wouldn't you love to see something like that? I mean, I know I definitely would. Like, I've seen sunsets, but I've never seen a sunrise. But again, like the other things, it will be something I would do one day. First video message. So, I recently found out that, when this movie was in pre-production, Aaron did actually show his videos to Danny, James, the other co-writer of the movie, the producers, and the cinematographers. And what I learned is that the cinematographers made sure to have similar angles to his actual videos, and he did confirm that they are pretty accurate, so I think that's pretty cool. And this is pretty much what he says in his videos too, like they follow it verbatim. I mean, obviously you can't really see all of his videos since they're private to him. But just from memory of how he has them in the book and stuff, I would say it's definitely accurate. I can't imagine how that must feel, like your arm slowly dying like that and you're losing all feeling to it. Oh, and this is also one of my favorite scenes in the movie too. We'll get to my favorite scene later. Yeah, just something like that. You can just see how dire his situation is and how unlikely it would be for him to survive out there. Such good acting, right? I really like how this bit was done. Very creative. I don't think I could ever be this smart just using what I have to keep myself warm at night, so major props to Aaron for that. The party he's missing. Yeah, I can't imagine having to take the smallest sips of water. I can't really relate to this part here because I don't wear eye contacts. So I never. I mean, I was a Girl Scout a little bit in the beginning, but I'm just not like the demographic for people that could relate to this moment. Like I said, I'm sorry I'm not talking as much, but I just hope you're still liking this either way. Ant again. Now I think those are biting ants too, so that must have been really annoying to have them stick on your face like that, just biting. Okay, this is one of the best scenes. You'll see for yourself. I can never hear Lovely Day the same way ever again because of this scene. And whenever I do hear it, this is what comes to mind immediately. And obviously, as you can see, James is actually doing all of this himself. So it definitely adds to how you relate to him. I mean, not really relate. I mean, I guess relate, but just empathize with him. Again, this is something I could never think of doing if I were in his situation. And in case of you're wondering, I think that boulder actually weighed like 1,000 pounds or something, so no matter what kind of actions he would have done to try to get himself out of it, like trying to lift it up and stuff, it just wouldn't happen. And then you see this pan out shot, and where does it lead to? Where are we going? Oh, I bet he could do, like he wishes he could do anything possible to get to that Gatorade bottle right now. And this commercial montage, I just think it's so good too. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how bad that must have been. Like, your mind just constantly torturing you with drinks. Okay, this is my favorite scene. My Letterboxd followers, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'll get more into it when it's over, but I just kind of want to enjoy it right now. Really love these kind of camera angles though. Okay, so that scene takes up the biggest part of my fixation. Like, even if I don't watch the whole movie, I have to watch that scene at least a few times a day, because I feel like if I don't, then I might just get go crazy or something. I don't know exactly why I like that scene so much. Like, it's been that way since the very beginning. Like, I remember there was a time where I went to camp for the first time without my parents, and I got really homesick, and at night before I would go to sleep, I would watch that scene over and over and over on my iPod, and it just gave me that comfort. And then, like, I would watch it every morning before school. I've watched that scene more times than the actual movie. Maybe it's just the way that each topic flows. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, it transitions from that to that to that. But yeah, I that's just like my favorite part of the movie. Obviously, I always have to pay attention to that scene when it's on. Don't buy the cheap China multi tool. I've never actually done that before. Another really good quote, by the way. But since I was just talking over that scene, that part where he was cutting his arm, James actually did do that to his actual arm, so he was all scraped up and bruised, and yeah, definitely helps with the authenticity of his reactions and stuff like that. Now, this actually happened too. He did lose some of his water. I know it's something that people can immediately see and go, oh no, but like I said, I've seen this so many times that it doesn't cause that much of a reaction to me. This would probably be my worst nightmare, because I just hate being around so many people, and it would just get me overstimulated, I think. Pretty sure. I mean, being that cramped in that truck, no thank you. Really pretty shot there. I would love to be in that kind of location. Okay, for this scene here, obviously, floods can be a very big concern in this area because no matter how much it rains, even if it's a light rainfall, there could still be a ton of water. And Aaron does mention this in his book too. Oh, I remember seeing that like there was a survival expert who reacted to this scene, and he really liked how with all this water coming out and stuff, one of the first things Aaron does is try to get all that water into his water bottle, try to drink it, because like you could just see how thirsty he is, obviously. I think all that water just comes down. I mean, what's worse, being trapped by your arm and being trapped by a rock and dying there, or being trapped by a rock and die from drowning in a flood. Like how mangled up it looked. Oh, and I really wish I could have seen how this scene was filmed. I did see a behind the scenes clip of, like water hose going down in the set. And I know that they saved that scene for last, but it would have been kind of cool to see how it was filmed. Like the entire thing. Did I say hose? I meant sprinkler. You get my point. That this was a really well done part, because you can tell like longer you're trapped, the worse that you get, more hallucinations you would get. So yeah. I bet that tricked you a bit, didn't it? And now we're on to Tuesday. Okay, this scene coming up, it's my second favorite scene. This didn't really happen. I mean, it's like the people who made the movie, they thought it definitely would have been something that Aaron would have done, but it kind of like illustrates, how he's kind of losing it a little. Sorry, it stopped filming again. So, as I was saying, it kind of shows like how he's slowly losing it over time, and yeah, like, wouldn't you go crazy if you've been down there for that long? And plus, it's kind of like more comedic and innovative. I mean, props to the editing and how well it was written and all that. I know that a lot of people do really like this scene a lot. I mean, you can definitely tell how good of a performance James did in this scene alone, and I'd like to think that he got the Oscar nomination just because of this scene alone. I mean, it's really well done. So good. Again, I love how they managed to get these kind of shots and like how did they do it? I can never wrap my head around it. This is another scene I really like too. That sound design is really good. Obviously, that's a prosthetic arm. You have to admit, it definitely just look like it's really real. Okay, that's my favorite shot of the whole movie. I just love how that looks. Uh-oh. I mentally think that every time I see this scene. Just, uh-oh, uh-oh. By the way, that's actually apple juice that they used. Again, I really like how James acted this. Very convincing. Fun fact, I've never had a Slurpee before this movie, and like a few years after watching it for the first time I finally tried it, and I haven't had another one since, but I still want another one. So this is actually kind of another actual thing that Aaron did while he was trapped. He found himself to be entertained by rewatching his videos, like his video messages and all that. So, when I was watching this movie, in the beginning, I watched it a lot with one of my high school best friends, and whenever the scene popped up, it was always her least favorite part of the movie, and I always kind of mocked her for it. So I highly doubt she's gonna see this, but Hannah, if you see this, I'm sorry. Rock on, bro. This is another actual thing Aaron did. I believe it later washed out because of the rain, but I remember seeing pictures of it. Another detail I haven't mentioned about yet that I want to mention is that I really love how worse he looks throughout the whole thing. I mean, obviously with his eyes looking so bloodshot, I think that's a really good detail to include. And then obviously with how much weight he has lost and he how just his face looks so much worse. Props to the makeup, but I have no idea how much weight James had to lose for this movie. I kind of wish I knew that, like what kind of preparation he had to do. I mean, I don't remember if I've ever found that out before, but it's just something I wish I knew. I mean, yeah, like, with just how dead he looks right here, how dry his lips are, just the attention to detail is so good. Now, if there's one thing about this movie that I don't really care for that much, which is really saying something since, since this is my favorite thing, but I never really cared much about the flashback scenes that much. I mean, yeah, they obviously serve a purpose in the movie and in the story, but I mean, I just kind of wish the whole movie just focused on him, like his whole situation, instead of like going to flashbacks every once in a while. I mean, I remember I used to skip through those parts most of the time when I watched it in the beginning, but obviously I don't anymore. I mean, this kind of thing always fascinates me, like just seeing how he deteriorate. I can't talk. Deteriorate. You know what I mean. Wonder what it was like filming this part. Oh, another thing unrelated to what's going on, but how I mentioned that this was filmed in a set. It was filmed in a warehouse in Utah, like an not abandoned, like just a warehouse in Utah. So that's kind of cool. Funny that they would both go on to be in the interview together. Oh, you wanna know another thing I just forgot I mentioned? That Scooby-Doo jump scare scene. That was originally supposed to be a giant mechanical raven, but Aaron didn't like that idea since the raven was more of his friend, so obviously they changed it to a Scooby-Doo instead. Again, I really like the use of split screens in a scene like this. I'm just glad it's not like that for the whole movie, though. I probably wouldn't like it as much. They really got the accuracy of the scene down too, because this did happen obviously too, and like Aaron said in his book, it was just a little blonde boy in a red polo shirt. But one thing they didn't get though is that when Aaron is playing with him in this hallucination, he doesn't have his other arm, so it was already gone. I kind of wish they kind of got that for this, but it's just a little nitpick from me. It's not really that big of a deal, but it just, I mean, obviously it's a very emotional scene and a very well done scene at that. And obviously it became his reason to get out of there, to live. Boom. Again, I'm used to seeing this so much, so I'm unfazed by it. But I'm pretty sure I was grossed out and or shocked the first few times. I will say though, the moment that led to Aaron breaking his bones like that, it was actually different because he accidentally sliced his thumb, and like gases were coming out of it and stuff like that, and he was disgusted with how decomposed it was and how it was still attached to him, so that led to him getting the idea to break his bones and obviously start amputating. So for this scene, I know that they filmed it in one take, one 20-minute take, and in actuality it took Aaron 40 minutes to amputate his arm. And you kind of see that too in the scene, like the flashes of his watch, what time it is. So that was a detail that I appreciated because they really wanted to make sure they followed this whole scene as accurate as possible. So, I mean, yeah, it's obviously disturbing to a lot of people, but I just think it's a really well done scene. I mean, if it wasn't well done, then it probably wouldn't have gotten such strong reactions from people in the first place. You know, for this part with the nerve, I remember the first time I watched it, I had to look away. And, I mean, before this, I watched quite a few horror movies, and I still do like them, so I'm kind of used to gore. But gore at this level, it just like that with, along with the sound design, that ringing sound, I can never unhear that because of this movie. I mean, yeah, I could never unhear that, and it just takes me by surprise every time, even though I've watched the scene hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Still never, it never fails to surprise me. Obviously, I mean, I know probably if anyone is watching this along with me, if you're looking away, I don't blame you one bit. You probably think it's weird that I could just watch this with no problem at all. He's free. His reaction is genuine because that prosthetic arm that they used, it wasn't supposed to be, you couldn't, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be that, like, you could cut through it completely, but James did, and when he, like, falls back like that, that's just his actual reaction. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure, obviously, this was Aaron's actual reaction to it, too. So, again, really good acting. I mean, can you imagine being in this kind of position? Like, you're hungry, you're thirsty, you're disoriented, you haven't slept in 5 days, and you just managed to amputate your own arm off, and then taking a picture of it. I mean, can you imagine how euphoric this must have felt for him? That dirty pond of water that he so absolutely wants to drink. again, this in his kind of position with how he's feeling and all that, can you imagine doing something like that, like rappelling down that ledge with how you're with in the condition that you're in? I mean, Aaron has done this so many times before, so in the alternate ending, he has a vision of him falling off the cliff and just landing in the water, but Danny decided to scrap that because since Aaron is such an expert at what he does, and the fact that he can do this successfully, just amputated your arm. I mean, yeah, that water's so dirty, but wouldn't you do the same thing? For this, in actuality, I want to say Aaron hiked 3 to 5 miles, something like that. Which, again, in his condition, I can't believe he managed to do. I mean, it's amazing that he managed to survive through all of that, everything that he's gone through. I mean, I bet for most people they probably would have collapsed and died not too long after. And those cave paintings, that's another thing I've always wanted to see but haven't seen yet. One day. How lucky was he that this happened to him at that exact moment in time? Because again, with being in such a remote area, you would think that you wouldn't come across any people, but things just worked out for him perfectly. I wonder how much water he ended up drinking that day. Sorry, it stopped again, so naturally at the end of the movie, I'm just thinking about how emotional the scene was for me in the beginning. Like, I remember I cried a lot, and it's still a really well done emotional scene, especially with the music. I mean, such a perfect music choice for a scene like this. And Aaron has said that if he wasn't rescued like 45 minutes after, like according to the doctors, if he wasn't rescued 45 minutes after, he would have died for sure. Like all the timing and everything, it just worked out perfectly. So if things didn't pan out the way that they did, he definitely would have died out there for sure. And it makes him gets him back to the life that he was running away from, being with the people that love him, and realizing how important they are to him, and just finding your way back to living the life that you want to live. It's just really well done, and it's so inspiring. It's such an inspiring story. So his son must be 15 now, so let that sink in. Good for him. I did it. I did my first watch along. So again, like I said, I'm sorry I didn't talk as much as I thought I would. I just get really into it. Yeah, I mean, I hope you enjoyed this still. I guess with the credits going, I guess I can talk a little bit longer. So yeah, I love this movie so much more than anyone would ever know. And like, obviously with how much I watch it, obviously there are people who support me, and then there are people who don't support me and think I'm weird for having this kind of fixation. But you know, I didn't control these things. It just happened the way that they did, and this movie made me a better person, honestly, because I didn't really take my life too seriously. I didn't take the people who are in my life too seriously back then. So this movie was kind of like a wake-up call for me, and it definitely led me to become the person who I am today. And I am forever thankful that I watched it the day that I did. And not only that, it made me appreciate my own life more, it also helped me out with my physical health, because like when I was a kid, I absolutely refused to drink water. Like, there was a time when I was in elementary school, I vividly remember that my aide was trying to get me to drink water, and I was just taking the tiniest sip because I really didn't like it. Probably like an autistic thing, but maybe also because I just didn't like how water didn't have any taste. But obviously, since watching this movie, I drink it all the time. So thank goodness for that. And then I also gathered a love of the outdoors. So, I mean, the area that I live in a flat state, so I don't really go out a whole lot here. But whenever I'm vacationing out west, like Utah, Arizona, Colorado, I always make sure to go out hiking when I'm out there just because their views are so pretty, and I love to be out in the mountains. And yeah, I can never get tired of mountain views, and I feel so at peace when I'm out there. It's one of my favorite places to be. And I mean, obviously with me being autistic and having a special interest as strong as this one, gives me a lot of comfort and joy every time I watch it. So, I mean, I watched this movie for two reasons. One, to satisfy, you know, like to satisfy my urges to watch it and get that comfort and happiness feeling, because I honestly don't feel happy. Like, I mean, I feel at my happiest when I'm watching this, and then just Aaron's story, it's so inspirational, and this movie's so well made. Like, I'm glad that they managed to make this into a movie and turn out the way that it did, because otherwise I wouldn't have this kind of inspiration and motivation in my life. Okay, so credits are just about to end, so if you were watching along with me and watched till the very end of the movie, you know, that makes me happy to think that you did this for me, and I thank you for that. I was thinking about doing like a Q&A kind of thing right now at this time, and I actually made a Letterboxd review, asked my followers if they had any questions for me. You know, I only got one, so I mean, depending on how well this video does, you know, leave a question in the comments. Maybe I'll make my own separate video and maybe talk about my relationship with this movie a little bit more. Maybe show off my collection of the things I have. Maybe share more stories, or, you know, just answer questions. So if you want that, just let me know, leave a comment, and I could definitely make that happen, because I know how many of you guys wanted me to make this video. So I mean, it definitely means a lot that you guys support me so much that you wanted me to do this. So I'm more than glad to do anything, as long as it's, you know, not too outrageous, obviously. But yeah, I think this is pretty much the end of this video. So I mean, I'm not going to say subscribe and stuff, because I'm not really making YouTube videos anymore. But yeah, if you want the follow-up video to happen, just let me know, and I'll get back to you, and I'll see if it happens. So until then, this is the end. So bye, and I'll see you guys later. So enjoy your day, and bye.